Okay, I'm going to be explaining the cell cycle, mitosis, and meiosis. Let's start with the cell cycle. Cell cycle, I like to think is very cool and very simple idea that we can go through. So, the first part is G1, where the cell grows. So G for growing. The cell grows. It does like a stop and check to make sure that everything's super good. And then it goes into S phase. S phase is where it takes a chromosome, so 1, and it replicates itself having sister chromatids. Once that is replicated and done, it then goes into G2, where it grows again. And then it either goes through mitosis or meiosis. All right, let's go through mitosis. Mitosis starts with prophase, where the chromosome that's not coiled up into the form that we just saw, it goes through that process. So it goes from being uncoiled to coiled up into the chromosomes, the sister chromatids, right? And the nuclei, or what I like to call it, like for me to understand it, like the nucleus wall, basically, where it begins to compose, basically, disappear, okay? And then goes into metaphase, where the chromosomes, the sister chromatids, they line up, and the spindle fibers attach themselves onto the chromosomes at the centromere. Okay, this makes sure that once the cell divides or splits up, it has the exact same amount of chromosomes or genetic information on each side or each cell. We then go through anaphase. Let me just grab it here, where once they attach, they pull the sister chromatids apart, leaving chromosomes on this side and chromosomes on the other side of the cell. And then we go through telophase / cytokinesis, where the nuclei, or the nucleus wall, I like to call it, forms again and the cells split. So then we have 2 identical daughter cells. Okay? Then we have meiosis. This only happens for gametes, so sperm and egg, which causes us, for example, if you have a sibling, or I do have a sister, we look alike, but at the same time we don't, and it's because of meiosis. Meiosis consists of 2 different parts, which is meiosis 1, meiosis 2. But meiosis 1 is where all the fun jazz happens. Okay? So let's go through it. So interphase is the same way. It has the decoiled, basically, chromosomes here. They form at prophase 1, and this is where the fun stuff happens, where the sister chromatids have their own pairs. They line up. I don't think that's the right wording, but the chromosomes, they get a pair. They're already a pair, but they get another pair of chromosomes, and they synapse, which is where they take cross. That synapse is when they get together, and then they cross over, and so that's what causes the differences in between me and my sister, where this blue chromosome switches a little piece of an allele with the red chromosome, causing diversity, differences between us. We go into metaphase 1, which is pretty similar to mitosis, where the chromosomes line up in the middle of the cell and the spindle fibers attach themselves to the centromere, but they are no longer identical since they had crossed over in synapse in prophase 1. We go through anaphase, where the chromosomes, the sister chromatids, are pulled apart. So instead of just having 1 chromosome on each side like we did in meiosis, it pulls a whole sister chromatids to the side. So we have a complete pair of chromosomes, but they're no longer identical. We then go into telophase, where there are they're pulled apart, right? The nuclei, or the wall, I like to call it, forms again, and then cytokinesis where they split, right? So now we have two daughter cells that are no longer identical since they had synapse and gave us diversity, I guess. I would like to call that, right? We then go into mitosis 2, which is very similar to mitosis, in my opinion, right? We have the two daughter cells that are no longer identical. We go into prophase 1, where the two cells, the nuclei, breaks apart, right? And they're there. We go into metaphase, where each of these line up and the spindle fibers attach themselves to the centromere. And then we go into anaphase. Sorry, the paper's falling. And they pull apart. And now it's similar to mitosis, where there's only a chromosome on each side and they're no longer sister chromatids, and they're still not identical, and they won't be anymore. We then go into telophase, where the nuclei forms again and the spindle fibers go away. And then we have 4 daughter cells that are haploid. So in meiosis 1, we have diploid daughter cells. And then in meiosis 2, we have 4 haploid daughter cells that are not identical since they had synapse and crossed over here in prophase 1. If you can see, so like there's like a little bit of blue, a little bit of red on each one. And so that's meiosis, which is super fun. Which an example would be my hair, like my hair is curly and my mom's is and my sister is, but our curly hair pattern is different. And that happens because of meiosis, which I think is so cool. But yeah, hope you enjoyed.